Good afternoon and welcome to today's lunch break with the Rabbi. Today is Monday, April 19th, 2021. It is the 7th of Iyar, climbing our time towards the receiving of the Torah, which is in only 4 weeks away, the holiday of Shavuos. And in the interim, we also celebrate Lag BaOmer. And Lag BaOmer is a time that's generally celebrated with outdoor celebrations, which we'll discuss more at length next week. The time that we're currently in between Passover and Shavuos is known as the counting of the Omer. The counting of the Omer, as we've discussed many times before, is a time where the word Sfirat HaOmer, which literally means to count the Omer, also comes from the other word Sefirat Sapir, means to shine. Because when we count and we reckon and we recognize what we've done and what we're doing, it helps us shine, perfect ourselves in becoming better people. So this is a time for reflection and a time to look in who we are, what we do, and why we're doing it. During the time of Sefiras HaOmer, it is a custom that is brought in Jewish law, which is a time of mourning. From the period of Passover until Shavuos, we mourn the passing of a great plague, an epidemic that broke out in the time of Rabbi Akiva, where 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva passed away. Who is Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva was a young shepherd who married into a family of wealth, and because his wife decided to go with this young shepherd, she was expelled from her home. And only at 40 years old did he begin to study Torah. And once he started studying the Torah, he went to studying yeshiva for 12 years, came back with 12,000 students. He went for another 12 years and became out another 12,000 students. He was the greatest sage of all time. He was able to extrapolate not only the word of the law, but also the meaning and reason of every letter, the way it's shaped and its articulation of what it was all about. Eventually, at 120 years old, he was killed by the Romans in a terrible, torturous death. But he had a mantra. He had a saying that he would say forever. To the extent that the Torah calls it Rabbi Akiva saying. Rabbi Akiva says, V'ahavta l'reacha kamecha, love your fellow as yourself. That is a cardinal rule, principle in the entire Torah. So if you want to know what encapsulates the Torah, what the Torah means and how it affects you, love your fellow as yourself. Now, what does it mean to love your fellow as yourself? Love your fellow as yourself simply means caring for another person. The Talmud takes it a step further and says, you know how you make sometimes justifications for what you've done wrong, even though you know you're 100% wrong? And you'll create certainly seemingly justifications for doing it. Those same justifications you make for yourself, love your fellow as yourself. Make those justifications for them. But then there's another interesting thing. Rabbi Akiva, whose mantra was about loving a fellow for one another, our sages tell us in the Talmud, why did these 24,000 students die in a pandemic? Was because they didn't get along. Now you may ask yourself, how is it possible? Rabbi Akiva, the greatest teacher of all time, who extrapolated every single verse of the Torah, was able to teach 24,000 students in 24 years. And all of the students weren't just average Joes, they were great scholars. Did they not learn from their teacher his basic elementary teaching, which he was very well known for? Love your fellow as yourself. Our sages say that they died in pandemic because they didn't respect one another. Didn't they learn what their teacher told them? Haven't they followed what their teacher said? Shouldn't the basic tenet of what their teacher implanted and ingrained within them, love your fellow as yourself, be one of their guiding principles of life? To the extent that they should die for it? How is this possible? And the Rabbi explains and tells us, it wasn't that they didn't get along. They actually got along very well, but a little too well. You see, there were 24,000 students, but with 24,000 different opinions. Each one of them interpreting what Rabbi Akiva, their teacher, said. And each one of them with a great feeling and passion for what he said, wanting that all of them should learn and understand the teachings of Rabbi Akiva the way they believed was the correct way. They all wanted that everybody else should go along with their opinion. They all wanted that everybody else, all the other 24,000 opinions, should be null and void because of their opinion. It wasn't a question of disrespect, but on the contrary, it was out of so much want and desire for the other to be like them that therefore they didn't get along. And because of that, this terrible plague ensued and many of them died. What is this telling us? You know, we all have differences of opinions. The Talmud tells us the same way no two people look alike, no two people think alike. And the question is, what does that difference of opinion mean? Do I have to go along with everybody's difference of opinion? Absolutely not. I am entitled to my own opinion, and you're entitled to your opinion. But that shouldn't stop us from getting along. Just because I didn't persuade you to follow the way I think, and you didn't persuade me to follow the way you think, it can't mean that we're not best of friends. In fact, the best of friends are two people who have two different opinions and they still get along. Not only get along, but they're colleagues. Take, for example, Shammai and Hillel. They were people who were always at odds with difference of opinions, the school of Shammai, the school of Hillel. Talmudic figures of all times always had disagreements of interpretation, but they were the best of friends. They were able to bring the Torah to the next generation. They realized they have a common goal, which is the study of Torah and connecting to God. They didn't allow their differences of opinion to shape who they are. They allowed who they are to shape their opinions. And because of that, they were people first, people that got along with others, people that were friendly and caring to one another. And then, yes, they had an opinion. As humans, we should have an opinion. As people who think, we shouldn't just follow a herd immunity. We should know what we believe in, what we have, ask questions, debate the issues. But when you debate the issues, can you afterwards go give each other a big hug? Or you don't talk to each other afterwards. We can get along without going along. Not only get along, we can care for each other and feel for each other and take care of each other. In the time of the counting of the Omer, the story of the students Rabbi Akiva reminds us. Yes, we may have disagreements. Yes, the way we wired, the way God created us, is that we do think differently. And we will always have great various differences of opinion. But because of that, we shouldn't feel the need to impose our opinion on somebody else and force them and convince them and have some type of discontent for them or animosity for them because they have a different opinion. On the contrary, show extra friendship to those people that you disagree with, to show that it's not a question of you disagree with them, you may disagree with their opinions. And learn from each other. Ezehu Chacham, as we read in Ethics of Our Fathers, who is wise? One who can learn from every single person. We can learn from everybody's opinions. And as our sages tell us, I've learned lots from my teachers, lots from my friends, but even more from my students, because they ask the questions. They challenge the status quo. They're not going along with the herd. We have to remember that every great invention and every great innovation came because people questioned. It doesn't mean we don't listen. It doesn't mean we don't follow. And it doesn't mean we don't care. But we can always question, understand, appreciate, and recognize the value of somebody else's opinion. Recognize the value of somebody else's word. Give them respect for what they believe in, but at the same time, honor them, and you can still have your own opinion and get along. My dear friends, let us take the message of Rabbi Akiva. Let us remind ourselves how important it is for us to get along regardless of our differences of affiliation, opinion, political persuasion. We all have one God, one Father in heaven that cares for all of us, and so too should we care for one another. When we embrace this concept, the world will be a better place. We will be better people. We will appreciate each other more, and we will only have happiness, health, and good things amongst all of us. Just want to quickly remind you, first of all, I look forward again to talking with you again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Also, our JLI course starting next Tuesday, April 27th. Please join us, sign up at jewishally.com, as well as Lag BaOmer, April 29th. We will be celebrating it with an outdoor barbecue. We look forward to your participation and joining us. God bless you. Have a great day.